Hey, this is Martin from BigBoyPlants.com and welcome back to our YouTube channel. In this video, we're gonna talk about the Anthurium. If you're careful and create the right conditions for your Anthurium to thrive, you can be sure this plant will look amazing in any indoor environment. But before we dive deep into the topic of Anthurium care, here's a summary of the most important information you need to know. In order to follow proper Anthurium care, you will need to keep track of these elements. First, we have light. Anthuriums do best if they are exposed to a bright indirect light, not direct sunlight, as it can burn its leaves. Then we have soil. Anthuriums work best with half and half mix of potting soil and orchid soils. That will do the best for them. Then we have water. Only water it when the soil is dry to the touch, as it is pretty susceptible to root rot. Then, last but not least, we have fertilizing. For fertilizing care, Anthuriums aren't too demanding. Once every 3 or 4 months will do, with maybe a quarter strength fertilizer. Even though that's basically everything you need to know for your flamingo plant to survive, we have only covered the basics of Anthurium care. You won't need a lot to help this beautiful houseplant to flourish, but everything you'll need to find, check it out in this video. When it comes to water care, Anthuriums, let's say it's best to remember it's a plant that fares well under drier conditions. Anthuriums are overall pretty susceptible to waterlogging and root rot, and are quick to develop yellowing of its leaves. So that's the reason why it's best to keep your Anthurium in well-draining compost, in addition to letting the soil get really dry between each watering session. In around summer, March through September months, you can water your Anthurium plant approximately twice per week. During winter, you can cut down to half of that, maybe once per week or every 10 to 14 days, since the Anthurium will go into dormancy. Remember, these are simply guides, but they're not written in stone, as your own plant will tell you when it's best to water. Check it regularly, and once you notice a pattern in your own Anthurium's watering care needs, water them. To determine if your plant needs some water, simply stick your finger into the soil. And if it feels dry, and only when it's dry, by the way, then water. If it feels moist or somewhat moist, then skip this step until you check it's 100% dry. Once it needs watering, add a considerable amount of water until it's run through the bottom of the drainage holes, and then stop. However, if you see standing water on the soil, stop watering to avoid overroots to form. Then let's move on to temperature. Since Anthuriums are plants native to Latin America, they do best in warm temperatures, specifically in temperatures between 70 Fahrenheit or 20 Celsius and 77 Fahrenheit, that's about 25 Celsius, if you're planning on keeping it indoors. At night, try to keep it at a lower degree of these temperature ranges to allow it to thrive. As you could probably guess, the Anthurium's natural habitat is mostly humid, as it thrives in the tropical jungle of Latin America, standing at around 80% humidity. This means that for best results, you'll need to try to get as close at this number as you possibly can. But that's a bit challenging, right? And if you live in a location where this is a bit more complicated, try to place them in humid environments like bathrooms. Conversely, keep them away from hot radiators as they will soak up the humidity from the air. This is why some Anthurium experts recommend keeping a humidifier near the plant or a humidity tray, that's a little tray with water in it, and that would help you maintain a higher percentage of humidity. You could also spray its foliage, as you will show here, with room temperature water every once in a while. That could be every other day, for the same purpose of increasing humidity. When it comes to light care, Anthuriums fare best under a medium to bright indirect sunlight. But they do poorly under direct sunlight, to be honest. It's a tricky plant, as it also doesn't like little light, as it will produce few flowers, like in some cases. So what happens to Anthuriums with improper lighting? Improper lighting can come in form of too much or too little light. With too much light, an Anthurium can get its foliage burned, as I said before. But with too little light, you'll notice your Anthurium will start turning a little bit pale or losing its brightness of its leaves and flowers. And in more extreme cases, with light conditions, when light conditions are very low, most Anthuriums will stop even producing flowers altogether. Now let's talk a little bit about soil. In terms of soil care, Anthuriums require a highly organic soil with good water retention and good drainage properties. In other words, coarse, rich, and porous soil. The best thing you can do is simply use a soil mix that is suited for epiphytes, or in other words, an orchid mix for the common man. In its natural habitat, Anthuriums will grow on 3 branches. This means that the soil they're used to, it's a blend composed of moss and leaf litter. Then we have fertilizing. Anthuriums are easy to care of when it comes to talking about fertilizing. Many experts simply use normal compost, or some recommend fertilizers in a water-soluble blend with a heavy amount of phosphorus, as it is good for the roots and flowers. As a best practice, try to fertilize your Anthurium every 2 months in order to keep it healthy. Now let's talk about the most important feature of these plants, which is its flowers. They are great to decorate indoor spaces, so how to cut them from the plant? First of all, prepare a clean vase and fill it with tap water. You can cut the Anthurium's end of stalk approximately 5 centimeters or 2 inches deep and place the flowers inside the vase. In general, Anthuriums are really clean plants, which means that you should keep the water clean, and you should replace it whenever you see it gets a little bit of particles inside it. So don't forget to do that. Also, every week you can cut it off 1 centimeter off the flower, to keep the stalk from rotting. Another very popular topic around Anthuriums is how to propagate them. If you want to propagate your Anthurium, then simply wait until spring and then divide a mature plant, like this one. This means you'll need to separate the root mass into multiple sections, each containing at least 1 leaf and healthy roots, and then plant each one as you normally would. So that's in a nutshell how you care for this amazing plant. I hope you liked this video, and if you want to learn more about Anthuriums, make sure to visit BigBoyPlants.com/Anthurium, where we have a full in-depth guide where you can learn more about this amazing plant and how to make it bloom and thrive. So that's all for today. Make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel and like this video. Until next time, happy planting!